Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, and I'm finally covering Adagnister in my own deck profile. Now, we did talk about this deck with I Wish TCG, and at the time I was intent on using the knowledge that he provided in our kind of combo guide video, where he, honestly, I say we, but he, very much being the expert on this deck, broke everything down for us and showed us how to play the deck. I'm going to link that in the description below in case you are interested in the knowledge there. There's a lot of knowledge there too. A lot of combo lines, even more in that video's description too. Playing through Drolls, multiple lines, playing through Droll and Lockbird, multiple lines playing through Imperm, and all of that fun stuff. So, again, despite saying that I was going to come back to Adagnister shortly after that video came out for my own deck profile, you know, it's been a little bit since then. Namely, since the, you know, Firewall Dragon Singularity and Lake Decoder came out. Those were the big new pieces of support for, of course, not only Mathmech, as we've seen, but also the Adagnister deck as well. And Adagnister is definitely one of those decks that I think, just due to its sheer complexity, is kind of underplayed as a result. I've always maintained since this new support came out, and I think we've actually seen at least some amount of evidence for this too, that if everyone knew this deck as well as I Wish did, then this would easily be like a tier 2 deck that's consistently seen on ladder and in tournaments. And as time has gone on, we've actually seen this deck get more and more tournament tops and more representation in like upper ladder, because again, this is one of those decks where, especially to pilot it very well, you got to be super dedicated to it, because it is a very, like I said, kind of complex deck. It's got a lot of moving pieces. But again, that combo guide that I Wish did in conjunction with myself here on the channel, link in the description below, is a very good jumping off point. So let's see here. It's funny that despite being such a long-form combo deck, the Adagnister deck actually does have quite a bit of room for, like, non-engine stuff, right? Our main combo lines are one card, you know, that card being Achichi or Picari. We also, of course, have the Signet Mindings to search them. We also have a line if we open Circular, which is currently at 3, so that's another very good card to open. As a result, it's not too difficult to find, you know, plays off of, again, very few cards in hand. So we totally have enough room for the Drolls, for the Veilers, for the Imperm, for the Nibiru. I think in hindsight, in this meta, I might cut down to 2 Droll and then go up to, honestly, maybe not the 3rd Imperm, but rather, or the 2nd Imperm, but the 3rd Veiler, rather. And that might seem a little bit weird, but this is a deck where we are planning on ending on Heat Soul pretty much every single time, right? At the end of our turn 1 combo line, ideally, we'll have the Heat Soul on the board. So, in that regard, drawing into the Veiler on the opponent's draw phase when we use the Heat Soul effect is much better than drawing into the Imperm. Hence why I think I would play the 3rd Veiler over the 2nd Imperm in specifically this deck. There are a couple of other flex spots as well. You really don't need the 2nd I Meet You. You can definitely get away only playing the 1, because we will definitely be searching it out. So if you wanted to play even more disruption, you could slot in a card over that. Let's see. I mean, honestly, for the most part, I would say just about everything else is needed. You technically don't need the Hiyari Adagnister, but I really like having not only another extender, but one that is specifically an Adagnister monster, and also one that is not an attribute that we're already using. And we do already have Earth in the form of the Gachiri, so having the Water Hiyari as our optional extender, I think this is the best extender you could get for the deck, and I just think that I valued an extender slightly more than another, you know, disruption card, right? Triple Tax is the card I would love to fit into this deck. I would love to be playing 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talon in here. I think if I was going to work on the deck moving forward, that would be the first thing I would change. Probably cutting a Droll and Lockbird here, and possibly the 2nd I Meet You, I think, for the 2 Triple Tax, I think would be my overall changes I would make going forward. But we played some pretty great duels with this deck that we're going to see here shortly. As you can see, we are doing things quite a bit differently than Adagnister has done in the past. Gone are the days of making the Arrival Adagnister, which, for those who might not remember, is this card right here. The big 6k Towers monster, or 4 or 5k, just depending on how the combo line ended up playing out. But honestly, you know, the game has been power crept to the point where making a 5k plus Towers monster really isn't as impressive as it once was. Not only are people generally able to play, they're more conscious of playing around towers, mostly ever since Perlay came out, right? But on top of that, we can actually end on a board that's even better than just sitting on one giant towers that could potentially be outed, you know, at least somewhat easily, right? And that is going to be what I affectionately like to refer to as the Firewall Brothers. Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, and Firewall Dragon Singularity are going to make up the crux of this deck's current end board. So the first kind of half of the combo line is kind of the same as how Adagnister used to combo. So if you've played this deck in the past, don't worry, your previous knowledge still applies to the new combo lines. It's just that rather than going for the Arrival, we do things in a slightly different order, incorporating the Math Mech cards into our main combo line to go for the setup with, again, the Firewall Brothers here. So ending on these 3 monsters plus Heat Soul is very, very good. It's something that, again, you can do with one card. You can play through Imperm, through Nibiru to do that. If you get Drolled, you can't end on a full board, but there are still a number of boards that you can end on. So let's go ahead and break this list down card by card, and then we'll see some of these games I've got here for us. We're playing 2 Effect Veiler, 3 Droll Knockbird, 1 Hiyari Adagnister, 3 Maxi, 3 Achichi Adagnister, 3 Ash Blossom and a Joy Spring, 1 Boruru Adagnister, 1 Mathmech Sigma, 1 Mathmech Addition, 1 Mathmech Subtraction. We've got the 3 Pikari Adagnister, 1 Doyon Adagnister, 3 Mathmech Circular, 1 Gachiri Adagnister, 1 Nibiru, the Primal Being. We have 2 Cynet Mining, 1 Mathmech Equation, 2 I Meet You, 2 Ignister Island, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 1 Idol Reborn, and then 1 Infinite Impermanence, and that's going to do it for our main deck. For the extra deck, we're on 1 Wind Pegasus Adagnister, 1 Prime Mathmech Alimbersion, 2 Dark Infant Adagnister, 1 Leak Decoder, 1 Cyber Swikid, 1 Splash Mage, 1 G Golem Crystal Heart, 1 Transcode Talker, 1 Dark Templar Adagnister, 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul, 1 Firewall Dragon, 1 Access Code Talker, 1 Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, and then finally 1 Firewall Dragon Singularity. There is our list. Let's see these games now. Okay, so our first opponent is going to be on a 60-card Phantom Knight deck. Now, if you have not yet checked out that combo guide that I wish and I worked on, don't worry, because this game will actually demonstrate the turn 1 combo line played out in full. We're going to start by normal summoning the Achichi Adagnister, adding the Doyon, because we already have Pikari, and because we opened both Achichi and Pikari, this is specifically the line that can help us play through Nibiru more easily. So this is the line you want to go for a lot of the time if you can. We're going to link it to Dark Infant and add the Field Spell Ignister Island, use it to special the Pikari that we opened, adding Idol Reborn. We're going to use Idol Reborn to bring back Achichi, and then use Pikari to bump up Achichi's level to 4. Now we can overlay for the Alimbersion. And basically the main way this helps us play around Nibiru is that we get to add the circular way sooner, so that way, you know, if they Nibiru us at any point moving forward from here, we will have some amount of follow-up plays. But from here, we're kind of pivoting back to the regular Adagnister line, linking for the Wicked, using the island to special the Doyon. Wicked effect, banish the Infant. Doyon's going to wheel whichever one we normal summoned, in our case, Achichi, back to our hand. And then Wicked, by banishing exactly Dark Infant, can add the Boruru Adagnister. Now we can link Doyon and Wicked for the Transcode Talker. Before activating Transcode Talker, you want to first activate Doyon to get the spell or trap card back. Then we want to use Ignister to summon the Achichi from hand. Now we can use Decode Talker in order to get back the Wicked, and then link these 3 for our Dark Templar. You got to use the field spell first, because otherwise you'll have a monster in your main monster zone, you won't be able to use it later, right? We're going to use the field spell yet again to summon the Boruru, use it to send the Gachiri Adagnister, that's the Earth level 8. We're going to link summon into the Dark Infant, and then activate Dark Templar, and then use Dark Infant as Chain Link 2. This is going to allow us to bounce the Dark Infant out of the zone. You can make it whatever attribute you want, doesn't matter. And then now we can summon these three from the graveyard, the Bururu, the Picari, and the Doyon. We're going to sync the Bururu and the Picari for the Wind Pegasus ad Ignister, then activate the Bururu effect to special summon the Picari back to the field. Now, here we're going to link into the Link 5 Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid. Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid's effect will put 2 counters on it. Now we can use the circular effect. By the way, if you had not opened the extender to go for this line in particular, then what you would do is before you make the Dark Fluid, while you still have Picari and Doyon on the field, you would overlay them for Alimbertion at that point, then add circular, then use the Dark Templar, the Wind Pegasus, and the Alimbertion for the Dark Fluid. So if you only open one of Achichi or Picari, that's the only difference in the combo lineup to this point. So, just for your information there. But now that we have no monsters in our EMZ, we can special back the Sigma. We sent off Circular, use the Circular Search effect to get back Equation. Now I'm going to link Sigma and the Dark Infant for G-Golem. Going to use my G-Golem's effect to bring back the Transcode Talker. Now I'm going to link into the Firewall Dragon, but I'm not going to put it in the EMZ. I want to put it into the main monster zone directly to the right of Dark Fluid. It's very important that you're putting these monsters in the exact same zones that I am. Now I'm going to link the Circular into Link Decoder. Now that I have 2 monsters co-linked, and by the way, this does co-link mean that the arrows have to be pointing to each other, right? If it just says linked, that means the arrows only have to be pointing one way, but co-linked means the arrows have to point to each other. So the reason we were able to both put back the G-Golem and return the Yashiri to hand is because Dark Fluid and Firewall Dragon's arrows here are pointing at each other, and also Link Decoder and Firewall Dragon's arrows here are pointing at each other. Very, very important distinction, and that is what co-link means as opposed to being linked. And again, that's why you want to be putting these monsters in literally the exact same zones that I am here. Now we're going to use Gachiri to negate exactly the Link Decoder, and then link off into the Firewall Dragon Singularity, using Link Decoder, Firewall Dragon, and Gachiri. Link Decoder can bring itself back. Gachiri can make the Singularity unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of their next turn. Link Decoder coming back. I'm going to now use the Equation to bring back Alimbertion, putting it exactly in the zone under Singularity. Alimbertion will attribute itself to bring back the Circular. This will proc the Singularity effect to bring back the Firewall Dragon, which we can now put into that zone. And it is once again co-linked to 2 different monsters. Now I'm going to link summon the Splash Mage. Here it doesn't matter what Splash Mage summons. I'm just going to get back the Gachiri because it has 3k defense. Now I'm going to link the Splash Mage and Doyon into the Heat Soul. And we can draw a card off Heat Soul now, and then later during our opponent's turn. Going to set Call by Crossout and Idle Reborn before passing into the opponent's turn. Heat Soul's going to draw another Achichi, so nothing really much doing there. They're going to set and then activate the Shade Brigandine, linking that off into the Link Spider. Definitely know for sure, of course, that it is Phantom Knight now that they've done that. They're going to use the Thrust and add the Talent, but we haven't actually activated a monster effect during the main phase yet, so they can't use the Talent just yet. They're going to try to activate Lubellion. I'm going to use the Call By against it and really hope that they don't have another extender, so that way I don't have to play into the Talent. If I have to play into the Talent, then I do. It's whatever, but I'd really prefer not to. They're going to activate Grass, which is really annoying, but it's going to have to be fine. They're milling Albaz, Jowgen, a bunch of interesting stuff there. But it is, of course, a pile deck. So there's a Sarnier in there, so they get to send the Lubellion, banishing the Silent Boots to add a Phantom Knight's Wing. They now get to activate the Torn Scale effect to bring itself back. I'm going to end up using the Firewall Dragon effect here to bounce the Torn Scale and the Link Spider. Because, again, it is co-linked to these 2 monsters here, right? They have arrows pointing at each other. Now, I know this will activate their Triple Tactics talent, but here's the thing, right? They can't take Singularity because it's unaffected. They can take Firewall, but it won't be co-linked to anything, so it won't do them any good. They can take the Heat Soul, but that's fine. They don't care. They don't care at all if they take this. So the worst thing they can do is take the Dark Fluid, which would be pretty annoying. However, the Singularity is going to be unaffected, so even if they take the Dark Fluid, I can still get another double bounce later in the turn. So I decided, you know what? I'll just get these cards off the field. They're going to talent take the Dark Fluid. They're always going to do that here. I'm just really going to have to hope they don't have too much more extension here. Well, we know they do have stuff in the yard because of the grass, right? They get to add another Torn Scale off the Ancient Cloak. Looks like they're also going to use the Fog Blade in the yard for the Silent Boots, and the normal summon the Torn Scale. Now I'm going to use Singularity's Bounce here, and the reason I did it when I did it before and also now is because I do not want the Torn Scale to activate its effect. I don't want them to discard the Wing that's in hand. I definitely don't want them to be milling more cards into the graveyard there. Also, if we look at their graveyard, they shouldn't have any other graveyard-based effects here. Nope, they didn't mill any Ragged Gloves. There's no more, what's it called? There's no more, oh, there's another Fog Blade in here. Oh no, this is the Fog Blade they're activating, right? No, they already used it, sorry. But this effective Fog Blade can only be used once per turn, that's right. And the Wing we know is in hand, so yeah, after this, they're going to be out of stuff. So they can use the Dark Fluid effect to negate, but Singularity is unaffected thanks to Gachiri, so I bounced their Phantom Knight monsters anyway. And then my opponent's just going to concede because they know that at this point they are out of plays, and like they could battle with the Dark Fluid, and they can even battle over multiple monsters, but they can't battle over Singularity. They're going to have to give me my Dark Fluid back, and then no matter what they leave on my field, I can very easily just have enough attack points for lethal there. So, okay, that will do it for this first game. Let's go ahead and see the next one. Alright, this is going to be our next duel here. This one is going to be against Live Twin. With no sprite, I was shocked, but if you can believe it, this is Live Twin without the sprites. I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw this particular build, but it's really interesting to see. We're going to be going second this time. Opponent's going to start with these Sunny's Snitch, adding the Live Twin Leela. Leela's effect is going to activate for the Kiss-Kill Frost, and I was very fortunate to have been matched up against an opponent not on the sprite stuff, because otherwise they could have gone for Gigantic there, and then 2-locked me, and I wouldn't be able to Nibiru, but they didn't, so I can. Alright, they're going to summon Leela. I'm going to wait until Leela summons the Kiss-Kill, because if I try to activate Nibiru, otherwise they could chain. I guess even if they chained Leela, then they still would lose the Kiss-Kill, but our opponent's very on theme here. They're even playing the Leela Wrap, which while technically isn't Live Twin support, doesn't actually feature Live Twin in its name. It is, you know, art-wise, thematically, very much and in name as well, a Live Twin reference at the very least to the Live Twin support. So that's very cute. Very cute of our opponent to be super on theme here, but anyway, I'm going to drop a big old rock on their face. They are going to have a Bestial Saronir for follow-up, as well as a Magnum HUD. This was a little bit scary, but it would have been even more scary, honestly, if they'd kept multiple Bestial monsters going into my turn. But they do get to Link Summon here. Link 3, they're going for a Nightmare Unicorn. I thought, I don't know, they went a little bit out of their way here to get rid of the Nibiru on my field. I think, honestly, I don't know. I think you should probably just keep the Bestials in hand and try to use them as disruption. And you might think, well, Lex, you know, they might not have an opportunity to if they thought you were on, like, Snake Eye or something, but there's still a couple of targets to hit with the Bestials. Although, to be fair, for turn 2 against Snake Eye, maybe not. Well, I don't know. There's still, you could still banish the IP or the Nightmare Unicorn or whatever out of the yard, but they are going to get to end on the Unchained A-Bomb, as well as the Druiswarm and the Branded Regained here, so quite a good bounce back from that Nibiru there. This Circular was an amazing top deck. It was such a good top deck here. I'm going to start by normal sending the Picari. They're going to try to bring back the Baldrake, but thankfully we have the Called By here, so I'm definitely going to make sure that does not come back. Don't want to be dealing with that. No, 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 no. At this point, the only thing to really keep in mind is the Druiswarm. There is also the Unchained A-Bomb. We want to make sure to not destroy cards, but while I might not have been the most mindful of that, we'll see here in a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to summon the Dark Infant here. Dark Infant effect is going to add the Ignistra Island, activating the I Beat You in order to add the Achichi. Now we get to activate the field spell here and use the effect to special summon the Achichi from our hand. Achichi's effect is going to add the Doyon at Ignister, linking the Dark Infant and Achichi for the Wicked. I mean, I'm just doing the standard combo line here, right? Because that combo line is going to put enough damage on board for lethal, and I think I would rather wait before trying to pivot straight into access code, just to, like, you know, have the follow-up, you know. But here as Doyan tries to add back the Picari, they do end up using the Druid Swarm. This is, according to plan, I figured they would use it here, and I am very much able to play through this because I have the Hiyari in hand. So I have the extra Administrator name. That's a different attribute. Again, like I said, that's why I really like Hiyari as an extender for this deck. Just being able to have another Administrator with a different attribute is so good. Alright, now we are making our Dark Templar here. Very pretty Dark Templar. This Royal Dark Templar is what finally was, you know, motivated me to pick this deck back up and, you know, actually play it again. Alright, gonna special the Baruru, link that into the Dark Infant, also which I happen to have a Royal of, so I like having them both on the field at the same time. It's very nice. Gonna bounce, of course, out of the zone. Dark Templar is gonna bring back our 3. Now I'm gonna sync for the Wind Pegasus, and here's where I do a little bit of a misplay. So I figured, like, oh, I can actually use the Wind Pegasus effect to destroy all of my opponent's back row. Hell yeah. That's fun incidental stuff, except, oops, that proxy Unchained A-Bomb effect, and that destroys my Dark Templar. So I am going to use this opportunity to banish my Wind Pegasus and put back their Druid Swarm so I don't have to deal with that anymore. And I guess as long as I have nothing in my EMZ, I can Circular, send Sigma, and then Special Sigma, but yeah, that definitely was a misplay on my part, especially because none of those back rows were actually threatening. There was no reason to do that. In fact, if I hadn't done that, I definitely could have just OTK'd my opponent. But here's the thing, right? When you Circular, you can only attack with one monster, so I don't know if I actually could have OTK'd my opponent here, even if I had done things, because I'm doing it like the turn 1 combo line way, rather. See, that's where I screwed up. I didn't even think about that. Well, I was thinking about that during the actual game, that, oh, I only get to attack with one monster here. But I don't know, to be fair, we're pretty much in a winning state anyway. And because I linked off that monster in the zone under Singularity, I get to bring back the Firewall Dragon. It's not co-linked, though, and I don't know if I could co-link it, but, I mean, either way, it's enough to make my opponent concede here. So we will definitely take those. Definitely, for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and see our next duel. Alright, next game is up against Branded Desia. Which can be a bit of a matchup. Like I mentioned before in that last game, the Bestials can be a bit scary to deal with here. We're going to be taking the second turn. Our hand looks alright, I suppose. Opponent's going to lead with the Albion, and I'm really grateful that they do, because this is one of the few situations where Droll is actually useful against Branded. Sure enough, here they're going to have to set 2 and then also the fusion duplication before passing back over to us. Gorgeous. We love to see this. Alright. Ignister Island is not a bad draw. Not the best, but could be worse too. Going to use the I Meet You to add the Achichi, activating the Achichi in order to add the Picari. Opponent's going to activate Branded in red at this moment, adding back the Fallen of Albaz, and then fusing it with the Mercurier in hand in order to summon the Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. Now Lubellion, of course, gets to activate, and that will discard the last card, which was Aliber. So as you can see, the Droll was very helpful there. Mercurier will also get to add here. It's going to add a Guiding Quem the Virtuous for follow-up plays on the next turn, if they get it. Lubellion and Albaz will then fuse for the Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade's going to activate right away, which I'm very glad to see them use that, just shotgun it, right? I guess they didn't know I had the island, but... Excuse me. Anyway, now I can special the Picari, add Idol Reborn. I'm going to do things a little bit differently here, because our play got disrupted, and also because we're going second, and just various factors, right? I'm going to special the Subtraction, go straight for Alimbertion, and add the Circular. Sending the Sigma, specialing Circular, summoning Sigma back. This will let me add the Math Mech Equation. Now, one thing that I did notice here, right, as I was playing, is that my opponent was getting priority passed back to them. So I was really anxious that they had, like, Super Poly or Branded Banishment or something similar. Obviously, I know this is Fusion Duplication, and they don't have a way of using it. But I really wanted to get rid of this card. So what I did here is I made a play that I don't think was very good. I basically went way out of my way to try to make a Firewall Dragon that was double co-linked. Because I thought that Firewall Dragon could bounce any card, but it's only monsters, unfortunately. So even though I do get to link off into the second Dark Infant here, excuse me, and activate the effect to add Ignister Island, and this will double co-link my Firewall, I don't actually get to bounce this face-down card. So I just bounce the Albion and the Yard instead. But I really was trying to get rid of this back row specifically, too. So here I'm just like, alright, I guess I'll just make Singularity, and then, sure enough, it's Branded Banishment. So, I don't know, maybe I wasn't able to play around it ultimately, no matter what I did, but yeah, the misplay that I made was definitely under the assumption that I would be able to bounce it with that. Here they get to make a Masquerade. Probably has a lot of Royals for this deck, which is very, very nice. I mean, I got a fair share of Royals for mine as well. But, yeah, I mean, I can Valor here, but the Masquerade's going to cost me some life points, and even if they don't have anything else here, they get to battle and leave me at 1100. That's only one effect off the Masquerade, and it's not going to be enough to ultimately play through. Well, it's closer than you might think, because I do have the equation here, which I really should have just activated that, now I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I started by going for the Hiyari and going for the Dark Infant first. But yeah, I do get to battle over the Masquerade, if nothing else, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, what else can I really do? Like, I have no other follow-up left, because I've already used both Splash Mage and G-Gold. I think my big misplay was using Splash Mage during that turn. I don't think I had to do that, and I think if I hadn't done that, I would have been able to go into it this turn and actually had a pretty decent shot of coming back in this game. So I think that was very winnable. I just misplayed my line. Yeah, I just misplayed it, but, you know, it's all good. We do that sometimes. We have one more game to show. Let us take a look at that here. And our final opponent is going to be on none other than Dark Magician with the Diabell Star package. So the Diabell Star package was a pretty solid boost to the Dark Magician line. Diabell Star being a level 7 Dark spellcaster herself. Here, as you can see, I got to take the first turn, but I, oops, going second hand, oops, all going second cards. You know, happens every now and then, but just kind of funny. Like, so many one-card starters, we didn't get a single one of them. Here they're going to start the Magician's Rod. I'm going to use the Valor and not the Imperm, because if they have a call by, I want to bait that out now if possible. And also, the Valor is only usable on the opponent's turn, whereas the Imperm, if I don't end up needing it, I could potentially use on a follow-up turn. Here, I'm going to use the Maxi, and thankfully, they don't actually have something to stop it. I desperately need these draws, so especially the top deck being called by, right? I wouldn't have been able to rely on a top deck here. They're going to try to draw a couple of cards with the Magician Souls. It seems like a great time to use my Ash Blossom. That way, they just essentially discard 2 for nothing there. They're going to end up fusing the Magician Souls with the Dark Magician Girl in hand to summon the Dark Magicians. Activating the Soul Servant to draw a couple of cards. Now, I could have used Droll and Lockbird there, but you'll notice that I didn't. And if I had used Droll and Lockbird after the Soul Servant effect, that would have stopped the Dark Magician's effect from being able to draw and then set this card. But the reason that I didn't was just in case they decided to special summon more. I wanted more draws off of Maxi, because if you look at my hand, although I did get the Baruru at Ignister, that is not enough by itself for plays. So I'm definitely going to want something else, and that's why I didn't Droll, because I valued getting potentially more draws off. I didn't even know if my opponent was going to special more, but I valued getting potentially more draws more than I valued stopping this effect, right? Unfortunately for me, they don't summon anymore, so that's no more draws for me. They're going to activate a Branded Regained and then just pass it back over. But thankfully for me, they did set the card in the Imperm column, and I'm just going to rip the Picari, adding this to outstop my deck, which seems really lucky, but to be fair, If we pause here, I had, what, 33 cards in my deck, and between 3 Achichi plus 3 Picari is 6, plus 3 Circular was another very good top deck is 9, plus 2 Silent Mining to search any of those is 11. So like 11 and 33, that's a 1 in 3 chance to top deck a 1-card combo line. So odds were definitely in my favor there. Well, not necessarily in my favor. 1 in 3 is still, you know, under 50%, but it's still really good odds. Very good odds. So yeah, I'm going to summon the Picari, go for the Dark Infant, and then from this point forward, I'm pretty much just doing the standard kind of combo line here. You'll note that I impermed preemptively to not only stop the Dark Magicians after, or, you know, before I use my first spell Trap card, but that will, of course, also take care of the face down card over here. So I'm just going to throw this in fast forward because I'm just doing kind of all the same stuff we've seen me do before up to this point. Summon the Picari, gain back the Wicked. This will be the Dark Templar right here. Yep. And then I get to summon the Boruru. Boruru sends Gachiri. Linking for the Dark Infant. Going to activate Dark Templar and Dark Infant. Bounce out. Summon the 3. I'm going to sync for the Wind Pegasus. And I will activate the effect here. It'll blow up my opponent's back row. This time I won't randomly get screwed over. As a result, now I'm going to overlay for the Allen version. Oh, this is another instance where I activated Circular, isn't it? So yeah, because I do activate Circular here, I will not be able to, Oh, but you know what? No, this will go up to 8k attack anyway, so it would have been fine, because that's 2 counters on it. I knew there was a reason you could still OTK even if you activated Circular and did the normal combo line. That's what it was. I knew I was forgetting something with that, so, okay. But yeah, they're going to concede as we're just doing the combo line anyway, so it is all good. But that'll do it for this game, and that'll also do it for this video. So thank you everybody so very much for watching. As always, ever, it does mean a whole lot to me. But yeah, let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That means a lot to me. It's also a great way to support the channel, so thank you very much in that way as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, like the very special patrons that I am thanking here, you can do so by checking out some of the links in the description. One of those goes to the Patreon, where you can join these fine folk and support the channel that way. I do post daily content over on Patreon, so you do get something for supporting there. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier option as well. Details again will be on Patreon in the link below. Also in the description linked below is my Twitch page where I stream a few times a week. You can go ahead and check that out, follow or subscribe over there if you ever want to catch me live. You'll also find my second YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing over there to watch some of the Twitch VODs as well as some additional non-Yu-Gi-Oh related content that I make over there. Again, any of those links you want to check out is all a great way of supporting. But again, even if you don't do that, just watching was also a fantastic way to support. And once again, I have to thank you so very much. But in any case, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.